All right. Recording there and recording there.
We have an important meeting later, and I'm thinking of changing my shirt before that meeting.
Well, sometimes our day requires a varied wardrobe.
Yeah. And sometimes it's good to, changing your clothes can get you in a particular mindset.
Just like Mr. Rogers.
Just like Mr. Rogers.
I feel like I learned so many positive things in life from PBS, just in general, and Mr. Rogers specifically. And one of the quotes I love from Mr. Rogers is about looking to the helpers.
You know, my mother used to say a long time ago, whenever there would be any really catastrophe that was in the movies or on the air, she would say, always look for the helpers. There will always be helpers, even just on the sidelines. That's why I think that if news programs could make a conscious effort of showing rescue teams, of showing medical people, anybody who is coming into a place where there's a tragedy, to be sure that they include that. Because if you look for the helpers, you'll know that there's hope.
So I believe exactly what he says. If you look to the helpers, it gives you hope. And we have been very fortunate to connect with several groups of people that are helpers, that are helping people seek care despite financial barriers, despite distance barriers. They're helping people get the abortion care that they need, and they're doing creative things to make it happen. And I would say, there are times when we feel a little bit hopeless because the work that we do is hard. But doing these interviews, you said it yourself, it gave you a whole lot of hope, right?
Oh, yeah. These episodes have given me so much hope. And this is a 2-part series about the helpers. And in the first episode, we're going to talk about an organization called With Gloria, which I hadn't heard about, but someone alerted me to. And when we reached out to them, I was so happy that they agreed to talk with us. With Gloria believes that every woman deserves a sidekick in her abortion journey. They match travelers to last-minute vacancies in donated Airbnbs from everyday sidekicks, mobilizing untapped, non-cash resources to sustain abortion access for the long run.
So we'll talk with Toshiko, one of the founders of this organization, and they're a very creative way to help people who are needing care and connecting them with people who want to donate a resource that's just sitting there unused. So welcome to Outlawed, Toshiko.
Yes. Hi. Thanks for having me. I am Toshiko Langford. I'm co-founder of Gloria alongside my husband, John Langford. Back a couple of years ago, I had been at Planned Parenthood for over a decade, and I was seeing how abortion funds and practical support orgs and Planned Parenthoods were spending just enormous amounts of cash supporting patients, subsidizing their procedure costs, paying for their travel, and just gas, lodging, all the support. And this was so unsustainable. And at the same time, it was equally clear that abortion was one of the most galvanizing issues of our time, right? And people want to help. And there was such incredible energy behind this issue. And there still is. I mean, we see it every time abortion is on the ballot. People show up for this issue. People show up for abortion rights. And so it just hit me that there was this really incredible mismatch. The folks in the movement were living in this kind of scarcity mindset, that there's this kind of popular phrase where we say, meet people where they are, right? Whether we're talking about patients or kids or whoever. But I realized that we weren't meeting supporters where they were, right? That we were constantly saying that the call to action was write a check or show up at the polls. But people have more to give than just money or their votes, right? They have homes, cars, airline miles, hotel points, time, expertise, compassion. And we had never asked for any of that. And so it became clear to me that there was this immense kind of hidden abundance, is what we call it, all around us that could support the reproductive rights movement, and that we had not tapped into any of that yet. And so we theorized that there were donors and supporters all around us who also wanted to have boots on the ground, just like we were. And that they didn't want to just support an organization, but they wanted to support a person, and they wanted to feel the impact of that kind of directly. And so when Roe fell, that energy became so undeniable. Overnight, we saw TikTok and social media just fill up with people who came on and said, I live in a blue state, and if you need to travel, if you need a place to stay, I'm here. You can come stay with us. I'll drive you. I'll hold your hand. I'll go to the clinic with you. It was this collective hashtag, if we go down together energy. And it was so real, and it was this grassroots movement, and it was raw, and it was so powerful. And it was this moment that was so validating for us. And it was like kind of chaotic. Like, how is a patient ever going to actually capture that, right? How are they going to find somebody on TikTok and stay with them, right? But we realized that we could catch this energy and channel it safely if we could just find a way to create this infrastructure on the ground. And so that's really when kind of Gloria took flight, and when we realized that we could bridge this gap between people who needed access to abortion care and folks who had these non-cash resources and wanted to contribute them to this reproductive rights kind of fight that we found ourselves in.
I'm imagining this is like a dinner table conversation between you and your husband. And I feel like my dinner table conversations, I don't know about you, Bev, but mine are less productive. So what was it that made you two be able to like take this to the next level? Or was it over several days? Or I don't know, what do you think made it work?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, it sounds like it was like one conversation, right? But of course, I'd been at Planned Parenthood for 10 years. We'd had 10 years of conversations like this. So I was real lucky that my husband was actually a user interface designer. And we started thinking about, okay, what kind of software would we need to help support this effort? And so we started kind of nights and weekends kind of building out what would this look like and how would we facilitate this? And so we kind of built it out. We felt like we had to conceptualize it for people in a way that they could see what it would look like to build a platform that could connect, that could bridge these two things. And so one day, I said, we can't keep doing this nights and weekends. It's not going to actually go anywhere. So I actually brought the concept to the Planned Parenthood CEO, and I said to her, I think this will help Planned Parenthood patients, but I can't actually lift it off the ground if I'm just doing it nights and weekends. Do you think that I could use some of my daytime hours at Planned Parenthood to help support this? And she was like, absolutely, this would help our patients, and let's find a way to give you a little more capacity for this. And so I got really lucky to get a little extra boost in capacity. And then, of course, Planned Parenthood became one of our first referral partners. And from there, we were able to kind of pilot, and then kind of got off the ground after that.
So how does it work? So Gloria is an organization, but there's a website, right? So how does it work for a patient?
Yeah. So right now, patients get referred to us through a handful of partners. So Planned Parenthood might ask a patient if they'd be interested in a stay with Gloria, so in an Airbnb. And if they say yes, then they get handed off to us, and the patient, then we kind of do an intake with them and see kind of what their specific needs are. So some of them might be traveling with children or extra people, or they might have a really late night arrival, or different circumstances that we need to account for. And so then we make a match. So we've built software so we can see across the entire city where there's availability in the Airbnbs. And then we send the patient photos and information, everything that they need to know about the lodging. The cool thing is that we're able to do it in a way where everybody uses an alias. Nobody actually has to reveal any personally identifying information, other than obviously the address of the unit where the person is staying. But we're able to really make it both kind of anonymous and personal at the same time. patients are sleeping in their cars, they're maxing out their credit cards, or worse, they're just unable to afford their abortion care because they can't find a place to sleep, right? When I was in Albuquerque just a few weeks ago, I was speaking with the director of Whole Women's Health, and she said Thursdays and Fridays when she shows up for work in the morning at the clinic, the entire parking lot is full of people who are sleeping in their cars waiting for their appointment that morning, right? And so we realized that if even just a fraction of hosts offered their spaces when they're not even booked anyways, we could house travelers without costing hosts a dime.
So Toshiko actually reached out to me, and we had a conversation about what she was starting, and I got very excited to hear about the support, considering everything happening at the federal level right now.
Persephone's a host for With Gloria and agreed to show us around her house.
Okay, so this is actually the door that the patients come in. We have a remote lock on it, so everybody gets their own code. Another way we keep people safe. And this was a very interesting architect remodel. This room is, my parents used to call it the satellite room.
Mm-hmm.
There's all of these.
Yeah, it's like all these arches and round. I mean, it looks like a UFO, the inside of a UFO, honestly.
Yes, we mission control, or the satellite room. But yeah, it's very fascinating. 3 beautiful skylights. The light is incredible.
Yeah, it's really beautiful light. Really bright in there, yeah.
So we've got a little wood stove. We've got the TV and a big comfy couch, all kinds of fun local artwork.
Yeah, I can imagine if I were staying there it feels really homey, right? But also like it's just like a fun space. I mean, I can imagine getting there with my kids and them running, all over the place to want to explore it and find all the nooks and crannies.
We've had that comment from guests on Airbnb that their kids want to come live here.
Yeah.
There's this outrageously pink bathroom back here with the old school.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Tile.
Yeah, so bright. That's awesome.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, very fun.
I live in New Mexico, and I have worked in the reproductive health field for 27 years here in New Mexico. And I connected with the Gloria organization because I had worked with one of the founders, when my parents had to move out of their home that they had lived in for 20 years here in Albuquerque. And so when we were considering, should we sell it? Should we rent it? Should we, whatever, I knew that my father in particular would really miss this house. And so to keep it open both for friends and family who are traveling through this part of the country, and because my dad likes to come and kind of tinker around in his garage once in a while, we decided to try Airbnb. And so we put it on Airbnb, and then Toshiko approached me, and my dad had been an activist my whole life, social justice activist my whole life. And so when I presented him this idea, he was just thrilled about it, because he can't really go swing a hammer for Habitat for Humanity like Jimmy Carter when he was 91. He's not quite that robust anymore. So this was something he could still do to contribute to a cause that's very important to him, accessing healthcare. Yeah, I was really inspired by him, by all the things that he stood for. So it's really exciting to carry on that legacy a little bit in the way that I can, and keep my dad's dream of providing secure housing for people alive. He also, when I was a kid, bought old 100-year-old properties and fixed them up. And my first job was, painting and steaming off 100 years of wallpaper. And then he would rent to lower income families in the neighborhood. And that was just incredibly important for him to have a place for people to be that wasn't just box apartment complex, somewhere they could be with their family, that was unique and special, and someone helped to take care of that, and my dad was a really good, I think, landlord. So I'm trying to model that a little bit as he is in the last part of his life.
Tell me about what it's been like to be involved in the program. You've had some people stay at your house?
Incredible. Evidently, I was the top host in the pilot program.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We have not only the house where families can come, there are cute little bunk beds in the big house for kids. It's kind of like a hobbit room in there. And then we also have just a studio guest house that used to be my dad's wood shop that we converted into a smaller place. So if it's a single person, that can be available to them. Little by little, I would add Pedialyte popsicles and maxi pads and a heating pad, so that the places were really set up, not in an obvious way, but set up to, provide those comforts to folks who were traveling for abortion care. And of course, we leave, little information about, oh, there's a little coffee shop down the street that you can, whatever, or there's, here's the nearest grocery store, here's the, Instacart or whatever, so that they can have what they need. Hearing the feedback from the people who are traveling has been the most rewarding thing, and I always take a screenshot of it and send it to my parents because it makes them feel really good. And, being involved in abortion care for almost 3 decades now, it's obviously something very dear to my heart.
And here we hear from Toshiko again.
Usually we get connected with patients before they're traveling into the state. But we had a patient who was, I think one of the clinic staff had told them about Gloria. So they called us, and they were about to be discharged in 30 minutes. They called us and they needed lodging that night. So we were actually able to find them lodging right away. They stayed the night, and then they checked out the next day. And it wasn't until we read their comment when they checked out that we learned that they had slept at the airport the night before and had been planning on sleeping there again that night if it weren't for the fact that they had gotten lodging from us. So we kind of never know their story. We had another patient who had slept. They often just drive through the night. You both probably see this all the time. They're driving 17 hours straight, especially a lot of our patients come from Texas, and they're driving through these just massive, land, 17 hours to get to Albuquerque. And we're expecting them at a certain hour and they don't show up. And it's because they stayed at a rest stop because they just had to stop and sleep for a little bit. They'll make it to their appointment on time, but then they're able to come and stay at the Airbnb, rest for a couple of hours, sleep, and then hit the road again. And it's just bananas, the schedule that they have to make in order to make it to their appointment in time and then back in order to work or to pick up their kids or whatever obligations they have back home, so they can come back and shower or relax a little bit before they hit the road again. So there's a lot of kind of extra ways that hosts are able to accommodate the circumstances of the patients.
What are some of the responses from patients like?
Oh gosh, the patients. So this has been one of kind of the biggest surprises of all, is that the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. And when I say that, it's kind of a gross understatement. The feedback has been over the moon. We regularly get comments that are like, the care was life-changing. I truly felt cared for and supported. They call us angels. They say that they don't think they could have gotten through this without our support. They even say that we saved their life. I don't think hotels get this kind of feedback, right? And I think the reason for this is because we create this sense of kind of micro community at a time when patients are often feeling really isolated or stigmatized. They're often traveling alone, and patients or hosts are quite literally welcoming them into their home, right? And it's not a sterile hotel room, and you're not just another guest. And I think this kind of means the world to patients. And what we find is that our hosts are checking in on patients. They are wishing them luck on the day of their appointment. They're leaving them little care packages inside of the units. These are small things, but they're so deeply human that I think patients are just so grateful and they're feeling so cared for at a time when I think they sometimes don't even have that level of compassion for themselves. And so I think it just means so, so much to them that something so little is just so impactful. And so we get these just amazing, amazing comments and feedback.
I think about the people who I know who either might need this service or who might want to be hosts. And I'm wondering what your vetting process is like to make sure that the space is going to be safe, that it's a safe host, and then also that the patients are safe.
Yeah. Yeah, we get this question a lot and we take it really seriously. So every host goes through this onboarding process. So everyone has to go through a background check. We do a social media review on every host. I do a personal interview with each of them. We check their personal property records to verify ownership of the property. And we have them do a survey about their attitudes about abortion. And then, of course, we check their Airbnb listing, and we create their own Gloria listing of photos of their space. We have them share photos or take photos that then is what we're also sharing with patients. And we make sure that they have, the separate entrance and all that for privacy and peace of mind. And then we use this encrypted secure messaging platform, and we ask patients and hosts to always use that between them and Gloria, to always keep that thread as their main communication so that we always have insight into exactly what's being communicated. And then we keep a separate thread with just patients and Gloria and just hosts and Gloria, so that if there's ever any concerns, we always have something, a way for them to connect with us directly. We've never had a safety incident or any concerns of any kind, but we take it seriously, and we feel like we have some good security protocol in place to make sure that everyone is safe.
Here's Persephone again.
I would probably frame it, because I have also worked in philanthropy, as a really wonderful way to give back to community and to take action in a time when it seems like there's so little that we can do, because we are just people and we are not people in a lot of power. And this is a way that you can take a stand without shouting it from a mountaintop. Feels like a little underground railroad of our own.
Opinions expressed on this podcast are our own. Philanthropy keeps this podcast ad-free. To make a tax-deductible donation, you can find a link in the show notes.
We encourage you this holiday season to consider making a donation to one of the many groups that support patients seeking abortion care. These helpers make it possible for people to overcome the barriers to get the care they need.
This podcast is executive produced by us and Jane Marie. Production by Little Everywhere. Thanks for listening.